"Ugh," said the caveman. "Ugh," replied his cave woman. That was the extent of their conversation. When Ruby was in the junior school, one of the topics they were doing was prehistoric times. So I wrote this short story about the day in the life of a caveman. It's a short story, but there are lots of facts about how long they lived, what clothes they wore, what food they ate, etc. So here we are, caveman. It was very cold, and the ground was covered in a thick layer of snow. The only thing he wore to try to keep warm was a skin from a smilodon that he had fought and killed. It had been a very hard fight, and he had many scars from the claws of the smilodon. Caveman moved along in his low, crouching walk, looking for something to eat. It was difficult, as the snow covered most of the plants. Then he saw a patch of uncovered ground with some cattails. These looked like grass, but could be ground up to make flour. It was only recently that his cave woman was able to use this to make bread and soup, after they had discovered fire. It was an accident. Lightning had struck a tree and set it on fire. It was amazing, and how warm it was to sit outside the cave next to the fire. Caveman had kept an ember burning, and each time he needed a fire, he only had to cover the ember with grass and blow on it. Sometimes the ember went out, but one member of the tribe had found that he could start an ember by rubbing a stick on a stone. Suddenly, Caveman heard a noise. It was a small duck. This was lucky, because although most of the time he only ate plants, he sometimes caught a small animal to eat. He moved quietly towards the sound and pounced on the duck before it could fly away. His cave woman would be pleased with him. Now they could have soup with bread and duck. Caveman made his way back to his cave. Avoiding the valley where some of the large animals lived, he saw a diplodocus. It's easier to break these words down, otherwise they're very hard to say. So this is diplodocus. It was very big, but Caveman knew it wouldn't hurt him, as it didn't eat meat. It was an herbivore. The last time he'd been very scared because he had seen a pterodactyl, and these do eat meat because they are a carnivore. When he reached his cave, he held up the cattails and the duck and grunted at his cave woman. She grunted back, grinned at him, and took them to where the fire was. First, she ground up the cattails with a large rock to make flour, and then she made some bread. After that, she plucked at the duck and, using a sharp stone, cut it open to remove the parts she did not want. Then she cooked it over the fire. Caveman went into the cave and looked at the marks on the wall. There were 18 marks, one for each winter. He took a stone and crossed off one of the marks, wondering if he would ever reach the end. Most of his tribe never reached 18. They were either killed by animals or died from disease. It was not long before the meal of duck and soup was ready, and they sat by the fire to eat. They heard a loud flapping noise and looked up to see a huge bird flying above them. It was a Quetzalcoatlus, the largest bird in the land. Luckily, he did not see them, and he flew away to the mountains. Caveman felt the softness of the skin on his body. Remembering the time when he was younger, the skins had been very hard then, before someone had found that the skin could be made soft by soaking it in oil from animal brains or in a pool of vegetable matter. It had been a good day for Caveman. He was warm and not hungry. The end.